Welcome to the Clank Howard Show, where it's about you learning ways to keep more of what you make. On the web, we serve you at Clark.com, CLARK.com. When you have a question, Clark.com/ask. Coming up in just 20 minutes in today's Clarkrageous moment, free trial offers. They can be truly Clarkrageous. I'm going to tell you what you need to know to protect your wallet. And later, there's some places in America that are booming right now, have the greatest job opportunities of anywhere across this great land of ours. I'm going to tell you where the real growth is. If you're footloose and fancy-free and you want to go where the greatest opportunity is, or you want to just see another part of America, I'm going to tell you where they really, really, really want and need you. So I wanted to tell you something that comes up more than I could ever imagine. And it's when people call me about their credit scores, credit reports, anything involving their credit. I've been on the air now 29 years. And for probably the first 15 I was on the air, this was not ever a topic that came up on our show. But now, as credit scores filter into so many areas of our lives, what we pay for auto insurance, credit reports affecting what job offers we get or don't get, anything involving with renting an apartment as an example, or obviously obtaining most any kind of credit, your credit report and score figures in. But there's been something really odd about credit reporting to this point. All right, so did you know that 133 million Americans are running balances on their credit cards right now? 133 million have some amount of credit that you're paying interest on for cards. But that also means there's a huge pile of Americans, maybe somewhere around 105, 110 million, that pay balances in full every single month. Well, the way your credit score is calculated and the way credit granting decisions are made, people who run a balance are treated pretty much the same as people who pay their balances in full in how credit scores are calculated. You probably have heard me talk about how credit utilization, which is what percent of your available credit you're using, accounts for nearly a third of what makes up a credit score. And so if you use a card and you run up a balance, and then when the bill comes, you pay it in full, you are treated identically in how you're evaluated for credit as someone who charges up a balance, pays the minimum when the bill comes, and instead of having a zero balance, still has the balance they had pretty much minus a small payment after they send in a payment to the credit card company. As far as the credit score is treated and credit report, they're treated identically. Well, that's beyond lame, and the reason is people who pay their balances in full are, and this makes perfect logic sense, right? Are much less likely to go into default on credit. How much less likely? Well, I'm glad you asked that, because there's a report in the Atlanta Business Chronicle citing industry research that you are 60% less likely to default on credit if you were what's known as a net payer on credit cards. That whenever your credit card bill comes in, whatever the balance is that's charged, that if you pay that in full, that you are so much less likely to ever default. So now one of the three major credit bureaus, Equifax, is going to provide first to mortgage lenders a new scoring model that specifically reflects the much lower credit risk of people who pay balances in full. It is so way past overdue because lenders take credit reports and scores as just like by rote. This is what it is, and make decisions based on it. So if it's clear that the information being collected is not as accurate as it should be, and the intelligence and databases is already there to give more accurate reports, why not? But there's something here that gets away from the issue of credit reports and scores and all the rest. If you are one of the 133 million Americans running balances on cards, let's circle all the way back. If the possibility of being in default drops by 60%, if you learn to use credit cards as a payment system instead of a borrowing platform, it means that you should consider changing how you use credit. That you never use a card to buy something you can't pay when the bill comes in. Because the enhanced risk to you of defaulting and the damage that you have for years to follow with your credit, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So the stats, people can make stats lie. These stats are so clear, they're revealing a very important truth. Why I despise debt so much and why I want you to as well. Eric is with us on the Clank Howard Show. Hello, Eric.
Hi, Clark. How are you?
Great. Thank you, Eric. You are looking to do something I am incapable of.
I don't know it takes that much skill, but I just want to get a grill to barbecue some stuff outside and figure it's the off season, so I'm looking for a deal.
Right. So if I ever invite you over that I'm grilling out, come up with any excuse not to come because whatever I would cook would be inedible.
Duly noted.
I am perfectly capable of eating what somebody else grills, but I am not capable of being the griller myself. But you are just a genius. Did you know that?
Oh, well, my mom would love to hear that, but I don't know that.
Well, this is why your mom already knew you were a genius, because you could not ask at a more perfect time of year about buying a grill. Because whatever inventory is left, retailers are dying to get rid of.
I've been in a couple of stores and I haven't seen exactly that. So tell me a little more specifically where to look.
Okay, so what happens is that retailers who, like an example, if you see any still on the floor at any warehouse club, anything like a grill, they've got to get rid of the inventory. They got to move it. Now, it may be that the supply is going to be really thin, but online, you'll still find people clearing them out. Like we have on our Clark Deals page, we've got a grill right now that Amazon is selling for $54 that they're trying to get rid of. Sorry?
Check out that page.
And you'll find this all over the web in particular, where you might find them scattershot if you go to a retail store and look for them on the floor. Even if you look at the online presence of a traditional retail store, you'll likely find grills that are on clearance.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much for the advice there.
And if you want to see the deal that we posted, it's at clarkdeals.com.
All right. I'll go check that out right now. Thank you.
Sure. And I'm telling you, a grill for $9 would be a bad deal for me to buy because I can't cook. I have trouble boiling water. It's no lie. Gail is with us on the Clank Howard Show. Hello, Gail.
Hi, Clark.
How are you doing?
It's a great day. A little nervous.
Don't be nervous. We're just hanging out here.
Okay.
What are you thinking of doing, Gail?
Well, my husband and I are in our mid-60s with a small business we plan to retire from in the next few years. So, of course, we're starting to think about long-term care insurance. And we've heard you can get a policy with or without life insurance benefits. So we're wondering, is one better than the other? What are the cost, benefits, payment options? We're just really clueless.
And by the way, people that are experts in the long-term care business are clueless too right now because the industry is completely busted up, broken.
Oh.
What happened was at one time there were perhaps more than 1,000 companies that sold long-term care insurance, and almost all of them have left the business because they underestimated how long we as Americans were going to live, how many of us were going to need long-term care, and once we became kind of broken down, how long we would live broken down claiming on long-term care insurance. I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about how my late mom had a great long-term care insurance policy and for years needed assisted living, and the insurer, every time we would move her to a higher level of care, would suspend her benefit, making us medically underwrite again that she needed it because they were just dying financially from the bills my mom was running up. And this has happened with so many people who've come before us who bought long-term care insurance and ended up using benefits far in excess of what was expected. So insurers abandoned the business, and those that have remained have raised premiums on people who have it, in some cases thousands of %, to try to force people to drop their policies. So right now, Gail, is a very difficult time to shop for long-term care insurance.
So what's your suggestion?
All right, so I want to deal with the whole life question you asked. So if you buy a traditional long-term care policy, the premiums that you pay year after year for you and your husband, they're not guaranteed. So the insurer pretty much at will can raise the premiums over and over and over again. And the benefit periods that used to be, like my mom had one that was a lifetime benefit, now at best you'll find one maybe that'll cover you for 5 years in long-term care. So you don't know what you're going to pay, and the benefits are capped. So that's where the life insurance has come into play. There are insurers now, the numbers have been slowly increasing, that will sell you a life insurance policy that is a traditional whole life policy, and then have a benefit in it that if you need long-term care, you can convert the policy from one that would pay a death benefit to one that pays a living benefit for long-term care. So the premium is known and fixed and guaranteed, and the benefit that you can receive for long-term care is known and fixed. And so that is an alternative that people have been looking at. There are no perfect answers right now, though. Do you think you and your husband can medically underwrite? Are you both healthy?
One yes and one no.
So the one who's the no might not be able to qualify.
I think you're right.
But the one of you that's the yes, I think it would be good to get quotes both ways, a traditional long-term care and then a whole life policy that has the option of paying the living benefit for long-term care, and see which one seems to make the most sense for you, for the one who can get the insurance. For the other, it'll be a matter of relying on savings to pay for assisted living if that becomes necessary. There's a nasty gram hitting your wallet that I want to make sure you're aware of in today's Clarkrageous moment. It's various versions of free trial offers that are eating up money that you need for your monthly expenses.
Scams, ripoffs, outrages. It's a Clarkrageous moment.
This is something common with pay TV, where they'll say, hey, you can get all these premium channels for 90 days for free on our trial offer. And then if you don't call and cancel in before the 90th day, suddenly you're paying an extra $30 or $40 a month. Or you may get an offer saying, hey, here's a sample of blah, blah, blah cleansing cream or something like that. And you get the free sample. And what you don't realize is you've signed up for an ongoing subscription that you have to cancel. This is taking many different forms in your life with free trials. And know that it is not truly a free trial at all. It is just a come on to get you as a subscriber. If you have to enter a credit card number, debit card number, give access to a checking account number, or you're an existing customer who is already being billed for a service, and you take up the trial offer like with the premium channels, most of us will not get around to canceling whatever it is, and then money just disappears out of our account month after month after month as we don't get around to canceling it. You know, another example are these subscription services that send you food each month or send you accessories of different kinds each month. And it may have seemed like a great idea up front, but then you're not really using whatever the product is. But most of us don't get around to canceling the subscription. So it's your money. Know that there's nothing free about a free trial offer. And the best answer I know is avoid it. It's just like when I get to a checkout somewhere and they say, wouldn't you like to save 15% on your purchase today? And I say, no, thank you.
Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans proudly supports this podcast. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage approval process into the 21st century. It's fast, powerful, and completely online. You see, Rocket Mortgage has taken all the complicated, time-consuming parts of applying for a mortgage out of the equation. Hate searching through stacks of old files and paperwork? Well, with Rocket Mortgage, you can easily share your bank statements and pay stubs at the touch of a button. It helps you get approved in minutes for a custom mortgage solution that's been tailored to your unique financial situation. Even better, with Rocket Mortgage, you can do all of this on your phone or tablet. It's a quick online process that you can manage from the convenience of your couch. So if you're looking to refinance your mortgage or buy a home, check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/save. That's quickenloans.com/SAVE. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
It's great you're with us on the Clark Howard Show, where I hope you'll learn ideas so you can save more, spend less, and avoid getting ripped off. You can follow us at facebook.com/Clark Howard, on the web, clark.com. When you have a question, clark.com/ask. Our producer, Krista, had a colonoscopy yesterday and ended up giving up all her passwords and usernames and accounts.
I did not, but they did say, like, you have to sign away that you will not make any financial decisions or anything like that. You won't drive, like, the whole thing for the rest of the day. And I was pretty loopy right after.
So I'm somebody who's a real strong advocate of you guilting whoever in your life is at the age, which is 50 and above, who has not had a colonoscopy to get one, because it is the most, having a colonoscopy, let me see if I get the wording right, is the most preventable cancer death there is, because if you have a colonoscopy and it discovers very early precancerous polyps or very early cancer, you are going to live. If you don't have it and it silently grows in you, you're going to die. And a lot of people get freaked out about the prep you have to do for a colonoscopy. And I have had a couple of them in my day. It's not a big deal.
I hate it. Just because you can't eat. At least your doctor lets you eat. My doctor does not let me eat the whole day before.
Well, I couldn't eat after, it was either 4 in the afternoon or 6 in the afternoon.
You know where my last meal was? I didn't even tell you this. The night before? In-N-Out Burger, your favorite place.
And what did you have?
I had a cheese and lettuce and tomato little pocket thing and some fries.
So you had no meat on it?
No.
So my favorite In-N-Out burger is a 3x3. We were just in San Diego for 2 financial conventions that I spoke at. And gosh, what neat people we saw at these conventions we were at. But anyway, Joel, how many times did we go to In-N-Out Burger? Well, you only went twice.
Yeah, we went twice together.
And I went 3 times to In-N-Out.
3 other times?
No, a third time. And I had my 3x3, which is, if you don't know what 3x3 is, you don't appreciate In-N-Out Burger. But it's,
or you don't live in one of the 5 states that it's in.
Okay, let's see. Is it 5? I think it's more. Let's see. California, Oregon, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, Texas.
I was way off.
6. No, you were off 1. 6. If I got them all. What you laughing at me
funny.
For? Hey, we had something important to talk about, geography, and here we are digressing. I apologize, but there's nothing like In-N-Out Burger. Anyway, so there is a new list that's been put out of the places in the country that are growing the fastest. The nation is divided up into just under 400 metro areas. And so of those 400, the list has been culled, and it's a report that I read 24/7 Wall Street took the federal stats from the Bureau of Economic Analysis and broke them down. What are the places that are growing the fastest, meaning there's going to be the most job growth? And when there's fast job growth, there's more opportunity for you to find a better job, a better paying job, a better career path. And so should I do this where I start with city number 10, metro area number 10, or should I do number 1 first? Anybody have an opinion?
Number 10 first.
Number 10? Krista, number 10? All right. So the place in America having the 10th fastest economic growth is out of roughly 400 metro areas, Billings, Montana. And what a great place. I've been to Billings a few times, and enormous economic growth, too cold for me in the winter. Number 9, Beaumont, Texas. Number 8, Bend, Oregon. Number 7, Raleigh, North Carolina, which is Boomtown, USA. If you're from Raleigh, you know all about Cary, containment area for relocated Yankees. It is such a big move-in area. Number 6, Santa Rosa. That's California. That is northeast of San Francisco Bay Area. Number 5, Porterdale, California. Number 4, Provo, Utah. Number 3, Lake Charles, Louisiana. Number 2, Silicon Valley, which you would have assumed would be number 1. And the strongest economic growth in the United States is Midland, Texas. A lot of these places are places that may not have been on your radar at all as a place for economic opportunity. But one thing in particular that I wanted to point out of most of these places is they are not highly congested, high-cost areas to live in. Silicon Valley, obviously an exception. But there are so many places in America that are quietly booming, and we're not even aware. We as Americans used to very heavily migrate to where opportunity is. People don't migrate at the rate we used to in the United States. But if you are somebody who's in a position where you can migrate to where the greatest possibility for your financial future might be, it wouldn't be a bad place to start, but the list of the 10 fastest growing economies in the United States. Amy is with us on the Clank Howard Show. Hello, Amy.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you.
So you are trying to do a good thing and nobody wants to help you.
It does seem that way.
What's happening?
So I was trying to freeze my son's credit. He's a senior in high school, he has a job, he has a debit card, he has a credit card, and he has a Roth IRA, and I just feel that we're trying to teach him all the right things to do with his finance, but, you know, he gets on his Xbox and uses his debit card instead of his credit card, and it makes me nervous. So I was trying to freeze his credit, but they wouldn't let me, and I was wondering if it was because he was under 18.
So what a great question. Generally now, more than half of the nation's states, you can freeze a child's credit, but under most state provisions, only from age 0 to 16, from birth to age 16. And the explanation I've heard about why you can't freeze a 17-year-old's credit is because 17-year-olds in very large numbers are applying to college. And with the financial aid application, FAFSA, you have to have your identity unfrozen or thawed. And that's why there's that gap year where in more than half the states you can freeze credit up to 16 and then again at age 18.
Okay, well, we're doing FAFSA too, so that's good to know.
So the one bureau that I think does not discriminate by age and allows a child's credit to be frozen in any of the 50 states is Equifax. Okay. Both Experian and TransUnion follow the state legal requirements to the letter, meaning they only allow a child's credit to be frozen in the states that require child credit freeze, and they do not go outside the strict bounds of each state's set of requirements.
Okay, so is there anything you suggest other than freezing his credit to help?
Well, I would suggest there's my default go-to is a website called Credit Karma. And so if your 17-year-old set up a Credit Karma account, if any funny stuff started happening, it would alert you because they offer free credit monitoring. And okay. So he'd have access to that. And also, you said he already has a credit card in addition to a debit card?
Right.
He would be able to see if he's running a credit score yet.
Yeah, hopefully he is. We got him one recently, and he's using it responsibly and paying it. So we figure we'd try and help him learn about credit as early as possible.
Well, that's great. And as long as he does handle it well, I have been concerned about teenagers having credit and not having a sense of the finiteness of money. But it sounds like, Amy, that is not any issue at all in your household. Carter's with us on the Clark Howard Show. Carter, you want to talk about Wells Fargo?
Yes, I do, Clark. I sure do.
Well, are you a Wells Fargo customer while we're speaking?
No, I'm not. I live in Indiana. I don't think they do business here. At least there's no Wells Fargo offices nearby me.
Well, a lot of people would say you're a lucky man as a result.
I guess so. But Clark, my question was, recently I heard you talking about the Wells Fargo fraud, and you stated, and I think I have this quote pretty exact, quote, "E-statements are a disaster and should be turned off," close quote. And I take this to mean that you believe that financial statements are best received by the customer on paper, delivered via the U.S. Postal Service. And here's my question. That had me a little bit confused. I don't quite see what would be the problem with a customer downloading statements as soon as they're available on his computer from his bank, credit card, other financial statements, etc., and then immediately checking for errors, dealing with those errors or problems if there are any, and if no errors or problems, then saving those statements on the computer for future reference with some form of encryption. And it seems to me that one big benefit of using digital statements or over the air statements are that you don't have to wait for the paper version to come in the mail. Around here, I can get my statements about almost a week earlier if I download them online, as opposed to waiting for the paper version in the mailbox. And it just seems to me that if more people did this, well, there's a number of benefits, but if more people did this rather than receiving paper statements, that a lot of trees would be saved. So I just wondered what your thoughts were, and I couldn't understand your statement about e-statements being a disaster.
Everything you said is right. If you do what you do, Carter, obviously you are very, very detail-oriented, and it sounds like you do go through your line items on your statement, item by item, and verify that the debits and credits on there are as they should be. Most people, when they get e-statements, only look at a balance and don't look at the actual transactions.
Uh-huh.
You know, when you look at a paper statement, it's so easy to flip a page, look at each item, and it's not as easy with an e-statement to do that. In addition, most people don't. You know, this is something in particular I've mentioned about cell phones, that people who get an electronic statement for cell phone service only seem to ever look at the balance and never look at the supporting pages, electronic pages, and see, why am I being charged for that? What is that for? And all that, where with a paper statement, you're more likely to see. But because you are so methodical, doing e-statements for you is absolutely fine.
Great. I'm relieved because I've been doing it this way for a number of years, and I'm glad to know that I haven't been making a big mistake all these years.
No, but remember, you're the exception to the rule because you are so careful and you check everything.
Very good. I feel better already.
All right.
To talk to you.
Well, have a great day.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Appreciate your good work. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. And on the Wells Fargo score, I wanted to say this again. There are many very good, decent people who work at Wells Fargo. And it's not your fault that you work in a culture that obviously was corrupt and was engaging in illegal practices, illegal activities for which upper-level senior management personnel should be prosecuted, should do the perp walk, and should spend time behind bars. You, as a customer, if you do business with Wells Fargo, you really have to think about whether you want to do business with a company that 2 million plus times over committed criminal acts of fraud against loyal customers. It's despicable, disgusting, and the performance of the CEO in his testimony before the U.S. Congress showed himself to be an embarrassment to American capitalism and to banking. And the guy and his cohorts in crime should be behind bars. Maria's with us on the Clank Howard Show. Hello, Maria.
Hi, Clark. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. You have a neighbor that is maybe not being the best neighbor. You're not sure?
Yes.
What's going on?
Well, there's a tree in his property, and there are 2 big branches overhanging my house. And I approached him, but he's very difficult, and he's not willing to do anything. He told me that he would not touch it because if something happens, then he will be liable. That I own those branches and that I should cut them by myself.
So is the tree healthy or is it unhealthy?
It's healthy.
All right.
But
So
it's tall and the branches are overhanging.
And they're potentially harming your house.
Yes.
The tree, the base of the tree is on his property, but these branches are on yours.
Yes.
Okay, so if the tree had been diseased or unhealthy, it would be your neighbor's responsibility and expense to remove the tree and make sure it was not potentially being a threat to your house. On the other hand, since it's healthy, you have the right and at your expense, the responsibility that you can go remove those branches from that tree that potentially could harm your house.
Okay.
So if he told you it's your problem, you have to deal with it, He actually was telling the truth.
Okay.
And he would need to give you, I would get some kind of note from him giving you permission to come on, because you've got to come onto his property, I assume, to attack those
Correct.
branches. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Correct.
just get something. It can be a very informal note that gives you permission to come on his property to remove those branches.
So I give him the note and he needs to sign it? Or
Yeah. Yeah, or he just sends you an email saying, I give you permission to come on my property to remove these branches, just because you want to make sure that nobody ever later said that you were trespassing, that you were there without permission.
You know, there's something about TrueCar that a lot of people don't even know. Here it is. Using TrueCar can also help you buy a used car. That's right. In fact, there are over 500,000 pre-owned vehicles available from TrueCar's certified dealers nationwide. So whether you're looking to buy a brand new car or a used car, you can get all the upfront pricing information that empowers you. You can also get discounts off the list price for used cars and a totally better buying experience through the TrueCar certified dealer network. That's where you'll see what other people paid for the car that you want, so you know you're getting a fair price and you can feel confident. And with TrueCar, you connect with a local certified dealer of your choice, so you can enjoy a quick, easy buying experience. You can use the TrueCar website or the TrueCar app, so it's easy to find the new or used car that you want. You just take your guaranteed savings certificate to a TrueCar certified dealer, and you'll save money on that used car. And if you're buying new, the average TrueCar user saves $3,279 off MSRP. Over 2 million people have already bought their cars through the TrueCar certified dealer network. So if you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar.com or take it with you by downloading the TrueCar app and enjoy a better car buying experience. Some features are not available in all states.
Here we are on the Clank Howard Show, empowering each other with knowledge and information so that you can handle your money better. I want you to learn ideas from me so you can keep more of what you make. On that topic, we're going to talk about how to handle open enrollment if you get health coverage from your employer. We're going to address that in just 30 minutes. Our web address for you is clark.com, and you got a question for me, clark.com/ask. And you also have access to free off-the-air advice. We do that 9 hours each weekday, where you can talk with a member of our team. It's been a service of the Clank Howard Show since 1993 that we've offered free off-the-air advice. You can see how to call in hours that advice is available at clark.com. I was in California for 5 days, and we were doing appearances at 2 different financial conventions. And we were in San Diego, which, by the way, is one of my favorite American cities. And I've been to San Diego over the years 20-some-odd times. And 100% of the times prior to my visit to San Diego for 6 days, this time I've rented a car. This time, my producer Joel, who was with me, convinced me not to rent a car. And I was not happy about it. It didn't feel right not having a car rental. San Diego, although you can do a certain amount there on foot or on public transit, principally is an automobile town. And there were things I wanted to do, places I wanted to go, things I wanted to see that I needed a car for. But Joel prevailed upon me to do something outside my comfort zone. And so for 6 days, I got around either on foot or with Uber or with Lyft. And at least in this case, Joel was right. It's the right thing to do. And Uber and Lyft, I was doing multiple rides a day, and it added up to less each day than I would have spent if I had had a rental car. Plus, there are certain areas of San Diego where parking is very expensive. So in addition to the cost of the car rental, I would have had parking charges that I avoided. Now, I am so cheap that there were times where I chose to do Uber, is it called Uber Pool? Where I was sharing, it was basically a carpool with other people, because it would show me the price for Uber X, which are the cheaper cars with Uber, and then it gave me the option of cutting my price basically in half if I would do the Uber Pool. And the savings that I got never made it worth it. But I kept doing it over and over again, which is the definition of insanity, expecting a different result. But the savings were not worth it. My wife was in New York recently, and I convinced her to use Uber Pool. And she was so angry at me for wasting so much of her time with the Uber Pool. So you have to have a surplus of time, and I always say my time is worth nothing, but I discovered that maybe my time had a little more value than doing the ultra cheap Uber Pool, which works out to be only slightly more expensive than riding public transit. So if you think of it that way, it is a deal. But I have been reading that the car rental companies are hurting because of business travelers doing just what I did. There I was working, and although I don't know that being in San Diego feels like work even when you're working. But anyway, I historically, and if it had not been for Uber and Lyft, I absolutely would have rented a car. But not only did I save money by not renting a car, it turned out to be pretty convenient getting around, and it worked out just fine. So I guess the thing I would say to you is that when you are like me, if you are used to doing things a particular way, you've always rented a car, when you've gone somewhere, you might try the experiment that I did and give using both Uber and Lyft a try. And by the way, I always say Uber and Lyft, because if you remember, I have shared that in my TV work, I became an Uber and a Lyft driver and drove them and experienced what they were like, experimented with them. And there is a value in you signing up for both, because the rates can be very different at the same time with each of them, and you see the estimates of the cost easily when you go to the apps. But only 15% of American adults have ever used Uber or Lyft, and so it's a concept that most Americans can't relate to. But if you do travel to a large metro area or a mid-sized metro area, it may be the alternative that would work better for you versus renting a traditional rent-a-car. Mark is with us on the Clank Howard Show. Hello, Mark.
Yes.
How are you?
Great. Thanks for taking my call.
Certainly. Your son has frustrated you by something he's done with one of the cell phone carriers, which is something that anytime I hear a story about this frustrates me. What happened?
Okay. Well, my son, first of all, is very hard on cell phones. We have 5 phones on a family plan, and he went motorcycle riding, and as he often does, he crashed on rocks. A rock poked through his body armor and with a cell phone and broke the cell phone.
Was he okay? Wait. Forget the cell phone. Was your son okay?
Oh, yeah, he's fine.
Because that's what I'm concerned about. Cell phones can be replaced.
He was wearing the body armor.
Okay.
We made sure that he has the neck braces and the helmets and the body armor. I recommend that to anyone. And he did crash in the rocks, destroyed the cell phone. And knowing this would happen, we have insurance on our phones. His is a smartphone. Destroyed the phone. Now he went to the store where he bought the phone to claim or try to get a new phone. Now, they said that they would only warranty the unbreakable screen. They advertised that the screen on his phone is unbreakable, can't be broken, and it didn't break because he poked the rock into the backside of the phone. So they would not warranty the phone because they only warranted the screen.
Wait. So you pay that ridiculous amount per month for the quote-unquote insurance that the cell phone carriers peddle that's really a bunch of hogwash?
Pretty much.
And so you pay how much per month? You pay like $5 or $6 a month?
It's $11 a month for the insurance.
$11 a month?
That's third-party insurance.
$11 a month. This is such highway robbery from the cell phone carriers. So you pay the $11 a month, which over the course of a year is, what, $132?
Yeah, I've run the numbers too.
And it doesn't actually cover the damage that your son caused. And even if it did, do you know what makes this really a joke? There's a big deductible, and then they give you a refurbished phone.
Yes.
So he paid for all this, and it did nothing for him.
Well, he has not. He did file a claim Sunday, and they advertise, the third-party insurance advertises next day delivery. Today's Tuesday, and he hasn't seen the phone yet. We just called him and checked on that. And you're right. When they do send the phone, it will be a remanufactured phone. And if they do not have the same model and remanufactured phone, they will substitute it for a different model. And I assume it will not be an upgrade. It would probably be a downgrade.
Well, so you're calling to gripe about how lousy the cell phone insurance is that the cell phone carriers sell?
I think you have that about right.
Yeah, and it is. And by the way, I want to thank you for sharing this story. We don't know how it's ultimately going to play, but the answer is never, 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 not ever buy the joke, fake cell phone protection plan from a cell phone carrier. In fact, if you feel like you want it, always buy it from squaretrade.com.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of them?
I have. I've heard commercials.
They charge... Oh, they run commercials? Okay. So anyway, you can buy coverage from them for less than half, typically, of what it costs from the cell phone carrier. And the coverage is much more robust because they're not playing the games that the cell phone carriers do. See, what happens with the cell phone carriers is the marketing company that they align with on the fake coverage for repairing a cell phone, the huge premiums you pay, a big chunk of that is going to the cell phone carrier. And then when something goes wrong with the phone, the cell phone carrier says, not us, not us, not us. Call this number. They're the ones that handle it.
And that's what happens.
So it's highway robbery, and it is beyond stupid that cell phone carriers put their reputations at risk by pulling this number on their customers. We're going to pretend we're selling you insurance that we're not really, and we're going to charge you more than double the price of it to cover our cut of it, and then we're going to look the other way when you don't have any real coverage. And I hope ultimately, Mark, this does end up working out for your son, at least in this case. But don't ever buy this junk from a cell phone carrier, because all they're doing is cheating you. Ginger is with us on the Clank Howard Show. Hi, Ginger.
Hi, Clark. How are you?
Great, thank you, Ginger. You're looking at taking a trip through the cloud.
I sure am. Well, if it's possible.
All right. What are you thinking of doing?
Well, I have a computer that, there's all kinds of things that go on today where you don't know if you're going to get hacked. You don't know if the computer's going to stop running. And I've got a lot of pictures. I've got a lot of recipes. I've got documents that I'd like to keep. I never want to lose. And I know that I can put them on the round things.
Yeah, the portable hard drive, the external hard drive.
Anything like that. But, a lot of these things you can't copy, you can't, it's fixed. They're on there. You can't add to them. You can't take away from them. And I'm looking for something secure that's there, and it's forever and free.
So the one service there that I would say is the best deal going is Google Drive.
Google?
Yeah, Google has one that they give you 15 gigs of storage, which is much more than others do that they give you for nothing. And so you compare, I think Dropbox gives you 2, and Apple gives you 5 in the iCloud, but you get 15 with Google. Now, there are some no-names that will give even more than that, but it's unclear what will happen if any of those fail because it's you just don't know how well they're going to end up doing in the marketplace.
Are they encrypted?
Yes. When you use these things, generally they are encrypted.
And I can copy and I can, maybe if I have the pictures I want to attach to an email, I can go in there and attach them? You're going, when you go to grab something from the cloud and you bring it down to your computer, yes, then you can attach something to it. That sounds fantastic.
So the other thing that Google has that's been a lifesaver for people who use iPhones is that iPhones, the real hassle with an iPhone is people run out of storage. And Google has a service for not just for iPhones, but the main users of it are iPhone customers, where you can have unlimited photo storage for life.
Really?
Yeah. And so if you download, are you on an iPhone?
No, I'm on Vonage.
Oh, so you don't use a cell phone at all?
I guess I have a cell phone. It's an Android.
Oh, so with Android, with Google Photos, you have the same thing. You have the unlimited photo storage for life, and that works with any format of digital photography you have. You can store with Google Photos for free, unlimited. But the Google Drive is the best way I know of to get massive data storage for free from somebody you know is going to be around. You got a question for me? One of the ways you can post it is to go to clark.com/ask, and then who knows, Joel may be reading your question on the air. Who do you have one from, Joel?
This one's from Paul. He says, someone else listed my house for rent on Craigslist. Obviously, it's a fraud. I clicked on the prohibited list, and I contacted Craigslist to have it removed. What else should I do?
Well, you have to be prepared that it may reappear several times and potentially on other sites. And this has been a terrible problem for anybody selling a home that's vacant, where criminals will duplicate a listing that's on one of the sale sites for real estate. They'll steal all your pictures, they'll steal the description, and then they'll list it for rent. And again, if it is vacant, they may have a locksmith come and change the locks, show people the place, may rent it to several different people, getting deposits and maybe first month's rent from them. And then you got a mess on your hands. So just be aware that it's a good idea when you have a house for sale, especially one that is vacant, to check on Craigslist regularly to see if your home is appearing there.
All right, and Hetty says, I tried to sign up for Credit Karma after your recommendation. They're asking for my Social Security number. Should I give it out?
You have to have anybody do credit monitoring or credit scoring or anything like that. It is as best anything is safe today, a safe environment for you to put your Social Security number in.
Stay tuned for 60 seconds of AP News headlines right after this podcast.
It's great to have you here on the Clank Howard Show, where it's about you learning ways to keep more of what you make on the web at clark.com. When you have a question, clark.com/ask. So we're moving into the time of year where if you get your health coverage from your employer, you got open enrollment. And open enrollment is a process that most people spend as little time as possible looking at the choices. And because the financial consequences and medical consequences can be significant, it actually is something I'd like you to spend some time on. I'd like you to really think through what you are going to choose for health coverage. Now, one thing in particular that I want to mention that is something that you need to look at with employer-provided health care, and employer-provided health care is different than what you hear about with the Obamacare exchanges, because employer-provided health care at many companies is not actually insurance. The employer is providing the coverage to you and may have, is often 2 to 4 options for you to choose from. Some employers will have more, but usually there will be a few. And the administrator of the plan that you think is insurance, because it'll be administered usually by an insurance company, is just carrying out the plan as the employer has requested, because the employer is absorbing the actual medical expenses. So the areas that you need to pay attention to as you choose among those plans that your employer offers is starting with if there's a doctor or there are doctors that are very important to you. The employer plans tend to range within the choices you have from ones that are very restrictive on what doctors you can use to more liberal what doctors you can use. And the more choice you have in doctors, the more you'll pay. And employers that don't actually handle the coverage and they're just giving you a choice of insurers, there will be a list of doctors in the plan. Those lists can change, but at the very least, you want to make sure that if there's a doctor or doctors that are very important to you, you want to see they're included on your plan. Because especially if you have a chronic or continuing condition, you want to have continuity of care. You want to be at the same medical practice or with the same provider you've been with in the past. In addition, I find that a lot of people just go to whatever the cheapest plan is in terms of premiums that your employer may be offering. But often that is not going to be the right choice for you. It's kind of parallels what I say when it involves an individual buying coverage. In the individual market on the Obamacare exchangey things, there's bronze, silver, gold, and platinum plans. And as you move up in the metal colors, the premiums go up, but the out-of-pocket for care goes down. Well, in employer plans, you can have the same kind of thing. The plan available that I get here at the studio gives me only 2 choices. So the company provides just these 2. And the 2 choices, the difference between them is one has a significantly higher premium that I have to pay, but better coverage. And in our case, for our family, it's worth it to pay the higher premium and have the better coverage and the care that has a lower deductible, less out of pocket. So you need to look at your own situation and figure out whether you get that balance right between premium dollars and coverage limits that are available. The most difficult choice for an employee, if you're not a high income earner, covers something that we talked about, I guess, just yesterday on the show, and that's if your employer offers you the option of an HSA plan, where you have a very high deductible, but that the plan comes with a very tax-advantaged health savings account. Health savings accounts with the high deductible work very well for you if you have money lying around. They are a rotten choice if you don't have a lot of spare money or you have no rainy day money at all. A high deductible health savings account health plan will be an economic disaster if you need to seek any significant amount of care over the course of 2017. You want to avoid those. Mark is with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hello, Mark. How you doing?
Doing well, Clark. How about yourself?
Great, thank you. You want to talk about credit cards?
Yeah, just 2 quick questions. One of them is it okay to cancel an older card with a lower balance that charges a yearly membership fee?
So getting rid of a card that charges a membership fee is just fine if you replace it with a new card before you close it.
Okay. Perfect.
You don't want to lower your overall available credit limit by closing that card, and then you'll experience a lowering of your overall credit score because what's known as your utilization, the amount of available credit you're using, goes up, which directly lowers your score and can lower it up by a huge amount.
Yeah, so we've moved on to higher balance cards, or higher credit limit cards. And that goes to my next question, is we use reward cards, and what are the best apps to use to track your credit card rewards and to maximize the rewards you can get out of them?
So are they travel rewards cards?
One is a travel and one's a cashback.
So there's, for the travel card, there's a blogger that I don't know if there's an app that goes with it, but he does the best job I know of telling you what special deals are available on travel rewards cards, called the Points Guy.
Okay.
And so he's very good at telling you, hey, there's this bonus right now on this card or that card. And I don't know that anybody has automated this like you're looking for with an app that would just tell you put in what cards you have and it'll tell you which is the best one to use at this store or this restaurant or whatever. I haven't seen that. I wouldn't be surprised.
I've done a little bit of digging, and there were a few that, based on location and stuff, and it just seemed like there were a few out there that I weren't familiar with.
Well, do tell, because this is something that I'm not knowledgeable on. What have you seen as far as an app?
So there was a few of them. One of them was called S'mores, I believe that was the name of it. And basically you can not set up an account, just import the card type, and it'll actually go based on your location, and it'll try to tell you what the best card is to use, depending on the location you're at.
Wow, I'm going to check that one out, let me tell you. That's so my kind of thing. So I'll review it, and you're a member of our team if it turns out to be something we should be talking about.
Perfect.
As far as picking the best card, because you're going to need to replace one, right?
Yes.
Have you ever heard me talk about the website Credit Card TuneUp?
Yes.
I would go there, put in the charge pattern you have, and let it settle for you what would be the best reward card for you to get. Because if you're a net payer, if you pay your balance in full, you should be picking up rewards.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
And, hey, thank you for the tip on the app. I'm going to check it out quicker than you might imagine.
Thank you, Clark.
Okay, take care. Rex is with us on the Clank Howard Show. Hello, Rex.
Hey, Clark. Thanks for taking my question. I have a 2012 Volkswagen TDI Passat SE that is part of the Volkswagen recall.
Fun car to drive, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
It's a fun car to drive.
I really like the car. It's too bad the emission problem came up. But the question I have is they've come out with an offer. You have three choices. One to ignore everything and keep the car and just go on. The other option is a buyback option. And the buyback option, on my particular car, and I have very low miles. I have 35,000 miles roughly. The buyback would be approximately $19,000, and then there's a consumer reimbursement from the lawsuit, which would pay out about $6,000. So if I sold the car back, I would get about $25,000.
That's a steal. That's great for you.
Or the other option is I can keep the car and collect $6,000.
Right. I think unless you like to keep a car till the wheels fall off, the value of the Volkswagens, they're so damaged in the market, and that's not going to get better, that I would wash your hands of the car or take the 6K and drive it till, let's say we're talking about this in 2022. Because really, you need to drive it long enough for the depreciation curve to just flatten out.
Okay, well, I thought that would be your answer, so that's and that won't happen till December 16th. So they're still waiting for their final court approval.
So, which are you going to do?
Oh, I'm gonna sell the car back, take the $25,000 and go buy a new car.
Good for you. And this is such a shame. This obviously was a terrible thing that Volkswagen did with so many people involved in the conspiracy of faking the testing, and look at all the consequences when you try to cheat. Daryl's with us on the Clark Howard Show. Daryl, you got a question for me about these great land sales that have been taking place around the country?
Yes, thanks, Clark. We attended one. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you perfectly.
Fantastic. We attended one Saturday not too long ago, and my wife finds these things, and she signed us up to go. It was a wonderful event. It got us all excited. Did a really good job of showing us a lot and telling us, hey, if you don't want it, somebody else will grab it right behind you, type of thing. So we signed up for 2 lots. I went back, did some research. I contacted them to find out what the county says about the value. And according to the county, the value is a lot less than what we contracted for. First of all, I don't know if that's normal. Don't know if these liquidation sales are above the value or below value.
The liquidation sales that are taking place at lakes, mountains, resorts, that kind of thing, that say this was worth $99,000, but now it's worth $12,000 to you, or whatever, those things. This is one of those, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. These sales it's not that they're not legit. It's that the lots were never worth anywhere near what they say the was price was. And the is price is whatever the market will bear. So it's not like you can buy these and then you're going to turn them into a big number.
Yes.
Are you obligated to own these, or are you only under contract that you can choose not to close?
According to the contract, we're under obligation to close.
There's no due diligence period?
We gave you 15% money down, and they said you must close on or about October 2nd.
Okay, so I would go to a real estate attorney immediately with copies of the contracts.
I will do that.
And see what your obligations are. How much was each lot?
The one of them was slightly over $200,000. The other one I thought was a loss leader. It was for only $20,000, so I thought I'd grab that at a bargain. That's the one I want to get out of for sure, because this is a deep slope. We had to look at it and be really, really hard to build on top of. So I'm going to get out of the $20,000 one. It has no lake view anyway. The other one has a beautiful lake view. Probably paid too much for it, but we do want to build a house on it.
Okay. All right. Well, head to a real estate attorney, because you got a lot of money on the line here. And are you sure that you can bring utilities to that lot you want to build on?
It does name the county utilities. Yes, it names water, sewer, electrical. And we did see spots on the land for the hookups. I'm not sure which one was which.
Okay. I think you need to do some deep digging investigating now. And Daryl, I hope that this does work out okay for you and your wife. If you're getting any of these flyers, I got another one of the colorful ones yesterday for a sale of land in a mountain community. Be very aware that the cycle of them selling them, pretending that these are screaming deals, They're just trying to sell land that they bought in a bulk sale from a failed real estate venture. And the prices that they're being offered at may or may not be a deal at all. Take your time. Don't believe them that you have to decide right then and there, because later on you may be saying, what did we do exactly? It's time for our Ask Clark segment where you post a question for me at clark.com/ask. Joel, who do we have a question from?
Got one from Nick Clark. He says, where's the best place to go to get merchant processing for a small business?
I have a big bias on this, that I believe that Sam's Club and Costco Wholesale do a better job more consistently without you having to worry about gotchas on merchant processing. They have chip compliant machines, so you're not going to you'll have the liability shield, and they don't hit you with all kinds of unexpected charges. So one thing you should know is that in the case of Costco, if you are going to do merchant processing through them as a business, it's worth it to pay the higher annual membership fee to Costco called Executive, because you get a better deal on the merchant processing if you are an executive member. I don't know if Sam's offers the same on their Plus membership, which is their equivalent of executive at Costco, but look at the offers from both, because both Costco and Sam's use merchant processing as a way to lure businesses into joining them for memberships. The other thing you can do that's really easy is Square, that you can set up instantly.
Thanks for listening to the Clark Howard Podcast. Download new episodes every Monday through Friday at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com. Stay tuned for the latest AP News headlines from Podcast One, right after this. When shopping for car insurance, consider this. Geico has been saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years. So if you're serious about savings, it's simple. Go to geico.com. After 75 years, they know how to save you money.
AP Update. I'm Rita Foley. World leaders will gather on Friday for the funeral of Shimon Peres, former Israeli prime minister and president, who died this morning at the age of 93. He suffered a debilitating stroke on September 13th and had been hospitalized since then. President Obama and Hillary and Bill Clinton will be among the mourners. AP White House correspondent Mark Smith.
The president says few people change the course of human history, but Shimon Peres was one. In a written statement, Obama says Peres was not only a soldier and founding father of Israel, but a statesman with the courage and moral clarity to know peace is crucial to the Jewish state's identity, and who pursued peace with unflagging optimism. Obama says he was graced by Peres' friendship and can think of no greater tribute to his friend than to renew America's commitment to the cause of an enduring Mideast peace. Mark Smith, Washington.
AP Update. I'm Rita Foley.